Video we are going to look into overview of bilirubin metabolism. We will see how bilirubin is produced and excreted from our body. To understand this, let's divide our body into three physical compartments where bilirubin metabolism happens. The first compartment being reticuloendothelial system, which consists of spleen, lymph nodes and bone marrow. Second being liver and biliary tract, and third being terminal ileum and colon. In first compartment, hemoglobin is broken down into heme and globin, and heme is further converted into unconjugated bilirubin. The property of unconjugated bilirubin is it is insoluble in water. Because this is insoluble in water, it requires a carrier, which in this case is albumin. It gets bound to albumin and then carried away in blood vessels into its next destination, that is liver and biliary tract. The main function of this next destination or next compartment is to conjugate unconjugated bilirubin and make it soluble in water. Once this is soluble in water, it is excreted into the biliary system and it goes into third physical compartment, that is terminal ileum and colon, where further metabolism happens. Now let's look into detail what happens in reticuloendothelial system. There are a lot of macrophages in reticuloendothelial system which ingest red blood cells and breaks down its hemoglobin into heme and globin. Although hemoglobin is the major source of heme, there are two other sources of heme too. First source of heme is senescent RBCs, which I have already stated, which makes about 80% of heme generation. Second being ineffective erythropoiesis, and third being some cytochromes which also contain heme proteins which are broken down and converted into heme. RBCs are internalized into macrophages and they go into microsomal fraction of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Hemoglobin is broken down into heme and globin in microsomes, and globins are further broken down into amino acids as they are proteins. Heme undergoes chain of biochemical reactions and it gets converted first into biliverdin in the microsomes itself, and then it gets out of microsome and gets converted into unconjugated bilirubin. This is a two-step reaction, and in the first step heme is converted into biliverdin with the help of an enzyme called as heme oxygenase. Then biliverdin comes out of microsomes and gets converted into bilirubin, and this happens with the help of an enzyme called as biliverdin reductase. As the name suggests, heme oxygenase is a oxygenation reaction, and biliverdin reduction is a reduction reaction. As we already know that bilirubin, which is formed by as a product of these reactions, is an unconjugated bilirubin and it is insoluble in water. From macrophages, it is secreted into the blood where it binds to albumin and travels through the blood vessels to its next destination, that is liver. So let's see what happens in the hepatocytes. Once they reach through the blood bound to albumin into hepatocytes, unconjugated bilirubin is released from these hepatocytes into space of Tisset. Now three steps happen at the level of hepatocytes. First step is uptake of this unconjugated bilirubin into the hepatocytes. This uptake happens because of certain carriers, and these carriers can be electrogenic carriers or electroneutral carriers. So they are carried inside the hepatocytes. This unconjugated bilirubin in the cytoplasm of hepatocytes enters smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So this is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. In the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, unconjugated bilirubin first gets converted into bilirubin monoglucuronide. followed by bilirubin diglucuronide. So this is also a two-step reaction, but in this reaction there is only one enzyme, which is UGT1, that is uridine diphosphate glucuronosyl transferase. The same enzyme converts bilirubin monoglucuronide to bilirubin diglucuronide, and BMG and BDG are conjugated fraction of bilirubin. Once conjugation is done, this comes out of smooth endoplasmic reticulum again into cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm this conjugated bilirubin is now ready to be excreted into biliary system, and this happens with the help of an enzyme or carrier called as MRP2, that is multi-drug resistant protein 2, which is very important. And from the biliary canals it goes further into biliary tract and then into intestines. In the intestines, once it reaches terminal ileum and colon, it undergoes further metabolism. There are many bacteria in the colon and terminal ileum which converts conjugated bilirubin again into unconjugated bilirubin. This unconjugated bilirubin is further reduced to what is called as urobilinogens. Urobilinogens are colorless compounds, and approximately 20% of these urobilinogens are reabsorbed in colon and terminal ileum, and they reach liver and biliary tract again, and they enter into what is called as enterohepatic circulation. Approximately 80% of these urobilinogens are excreted into the stools, and they get oxidized into colored pigments, which are either called as urobilins or stercobilins, and these are orange colored pigments. Whatever amount enters into enterohepatic circulation, that is 20% of amount, fraction of this also goes into kidneys and get excreted into urine to give urine its typical color, which is yellowish color. Approximately less than 3 milligrams per day is excreted into the urine.